Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers a little bit of everything from New York Giants football to New York Mets baseball, movie reviews, TV show recaps and reactions, along with some life stories and funny life lessons along the way for good measure. It's hosted by Giant Mess, that's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. On today's episode, we'll catch you up on everything late and great about your Lord and Savior, Neal David Lynch, from his date night with his daughter at Salt Creek Grill in Princeton, NJ, that turned out to be somewhat intergalactic, intergalactic. And then Neal will discuss what he was doing in his hiatus, the absence of show for you, content that you deserve, you crave, you think about in your dreams. Why haven't you gotten that the past couple weeks? Well, one of the reasons that he'll dive into a work offsite. His company had an offsite down in Orlando, Florida, right by Universal Studios. So I will review the amusement park along with its features, its rides, its amenities. This is a call to arms right now. This is a petition, a verbal petition to you and yours to bring Back to the Future the ride. So without further ado, let us get it started, man. We'll start with date night. Date night, not a Friday night. Turned out it was a Thursday night because I didn't have Brie on a Friday night. This is weeks ago. Might as well be years ago at this point. We decided to go to a new place. I've wanted to go to this new place for a while. Salt Creek Grill. Anytime you have those words in vicinity of each other, same area, I'm going to be intrigued. Love salt. A little too much, according to my swollen ankles. Creek. The creek. So calm, so inviting. The dribbles and the whatnot, the babbling, creek. I don't know what the difference is between a creek and a brook. I guess brooks babble, creeks crinkle. I don't know. And then grill, dude. And not spelled G-R-I-L-L. G-R-I-L-E. That extra E lets you know it's high class. So, Salt Creek Grill. I wanted to go there for a while. Ever since I moved back to the area, it's always been kind of at the top of my list when you look at Yelp, things like that. And so I decided to do something that I rarely do, something that goes against my code of ethics, and that's pick up the phone and call. I am very anti picking up the phone and call, but these restaurants, they don't make it easy on you as a single parent. Like, hey, do you have a kids menu? If you do have a kids menu, why is it not mentioned anywhere on your website, on any of your social media, on Yelp? So that's why I've avoided it, because I was like, I need a kids menu. I'm not going to roll up there with a 4-year-old girl who's picky as shit and then decide, oh yeah, she'll have the oysters. Like I need some kind of reassurance that this restaurant knows how to handle a 4-year-old's palate. So picked up the phone, called, and they said, yes, we have a kids menu. And I was like, praise Allah, let's roll. So we go there, and this is a new restaurant. We haven't been there yet so far. Trying to branch out a little bit, go a little bit further away from home per my daughter's request. And it's a little bit further, and it's in a direction, an area that she has not really been too familiar with. And so she's like looking around as I'm driving, is kind of confused. She's asking questions like, where are we going? What is this? What? And so this particular restaurant is in Forestall Village. If you're in the Princeton area, you know what it is. Forestall Village. I don't venture there often, but akin to an abandoned movie set is how I would put it. I haven't been on a ton of movie sets in my life, but it felt like an abandoned movie set. I mean, you pull in and everything looks like too pristine and too nice. Like doesn't look weathered at all. Everything looks way too clean, and there's no one to be found anywhere. So it's kind of a little creepy, spooky, but also is a really nice area. It's just, it kind of creeps me out how there's no one walking around, but yet it looks like a walk around type village. Who comes to this village? I don't know. So, but the restaurant is, you go through the Forestall Village, and it's kind of closer to the highway. And so I pull into the parking spot, and my daughter's looking confused. Like, I don't know what's happening here. So I get out of my side, the driver's seat, walk around, open the door, and she kind of has undone her buckle, and she's kind of emerging from the vehicle, and she's looking around, and she just goes, "Is this Earth?" And I was like, yeah, believe it or not, I know that was a long 10-minute car ride, but we're still on the planet Earth. We're still on our mother planet, our home planet. It's thought about taking us to Mars, but it's like might cost me a pretty penny. The moon, I know that's open, but it hasn't really been, it's been kind of in shambles since the late 60s, if we're honest. So yeah, is this Earth? And so I thought, okay, because she's starting to learn geography and locations and stuff like that. Like I think she's trying to learn that. One of the things that is hard for her to wrap her head around is we live in America. Like when we went to the 4th of July party at my friend's place up in Rye, New York, around that area, Pearl River. I said, she goes, whose birthday is it? Because every party that she's been to in her young life, 4 years, has been a birthday party, right? And she's 3 at this time. So she just thinks, oh, we're going to a birthday party. Whose birthday is it? And so I said, well, it's America's birthday. Technically not wrong. And she said, oh, how old is America? And I was like, I got to do the math on this one. Let's see. 1976 was the bicentennial. It's 200 years. That was another 24 years. And another 20. Around 250 some odd years old, I think. I don't know. And so my daughter's like, whoa, can't wait to see this 250-year-old person. I'm sure, they'll be nice and friendly. So trying to get a sense of America, like driving to Rhode Island, I gave her a brief little geography lesson. Like, all right, we live in the state of New Jersey. We're going to the state of Rhode Island, and we're going through the state of New York, and we're going through the state of Connecticut. And so I don't know if any of this is clicking, but she's like, but when I say, we live in New Jersey, there's a map. My sister, I'm all over the place already, but my sister has like a shower curtain, has the map of the world on it. And so Bree was in there because we visited my sister for the week for spring break, Easter spring break week. And she's like, where is Tripper's house? Because that's Tripper's house. It's not Aunt Haley's house, not Uncle KC's house. It's Tripper's house. So where's Tripper's house? Her cousin's house. And so I point to South Carolina. She goes, oh, where are we? And I'm like, we're here in New Jersey. And she goes, no, we're in America. And I'm like, all right. We're the states versus country versus planet. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'm trying to tell her, well, New Jersey is in America. It's a state. This is the United States of America. And by that time, she'd already gone to get like a snack. So is this Earth? I thought that was cool. So we get seated. The waiter comes up and introduces himself. He says, hi, I'm Angel, and I'll be your server today. And so he took our order and he walks away. And my daughter says, why did he say that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why did he say what? And he's like, hello, my name is Angel, and I'll be your server today. Why did he say that? I'm like, well, he's introducing himself. We don't know him and he doesn't know us. And he just wants to establish what to expect. Like, what's our relationship with this person that's now talking to us randomly, it would seem, to a 4-year-old. And I was like, well, he's a stranger. We're strangers. He's just introducing himself, letting us know that if we ever need anything, that's his name. And you should reach out to him if you need anything. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to flip this to her. I was like, say, you shouldn't talk to strangers. Duh. But if you met someone that you didn't know previously, were introduced to someone, how would you introduce yourself to that random person? Don't talk to strangers. But also, if you talk to a stranger, how would you introduce yourself? It's like her head must be spinning and her eyes are crossed. So she immediately goes, hi, my name is Brielle, and I'll be your server today. I was like, all right, interesting approach, and it might lead to some great things. So stick with it, kid. But she's already expressed her interest and her desire to be a server. And I'm like, well, she must get that part from her mama. Because like I was a server and I stunk big time. So I don't, if she's going to be a good server, it's because of her mama. Her mama's genes, not mine. I'm not a very picky person, and I don't really, I guess my standards aren't as high as people would like them to be. So, I kind of like, it's like, did you get your food? Good. There you go. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Had some more weird thoughts, because it's like I'm very self-conscious about our dynamic, our relationship, our situation. The fact that I am, I'm not wearing a wedding ring because I am divorced, and it's just me and my daughter. And for some reason, I started thinking about how old would my daughter have to be for others to think it's a sugar daddy situation and not a birth father situation. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, I was thinking about that. I was like, when she turns 18 and I don't even know, 56, and I'm still not married, and we're still going on these dinner dates, which I hope we do. I know that's impossible because children end up turning on you after a certain age. I think it's age 10, could be. And we do end up going on a dinner date. Like, is that going to be the thought process behind it? And I got to be like, no, I'm produced her. This is my production. But the weird thing about this restaurant, the kids menus, which they're not advertised anywhere or promoted anywhere, which I think is a real misfire on their part, has pictures of crayons on it. Why do I bring that up? Well, Neal, so they must give her crayons and paper to draw on? No. I think that's tantamount to torture. Kitty torture. Like, I don't understand how you can do that. How you can hand a menu to a kid that has crayons on it and then not immediately hand her crayons and paper to draw on. What are we doing? So, but it was a great time. Good time. Enjoyed it very thoroughly. Bree does this, I asked for the dessert menu, and Bree asked the server, do you have cookies? Can I have a cookie? And he's like, no, I'm so sorry, but do you like cheesecake? And she's like, oh yeah, I like rainbow cheesecake. And I was like, you like looking at rainbow cheesecakes, but I don't know that you actually like putting it in your body, because I got you a rainbow cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, and you took one bite and then you called it off. You pulled the ripcord. So, and then so I said, the server's like, wow, that's cool. And I was like, nah, that's a lie. And I reminded her how of that time we got the cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory, and she didn't like it. And she gave me a look that I honestly thought somehow she was an android and or cybernetic organism, and my ex-wife, her mother, was somehow controlling her like eyebrows, her eyes, and her facial expressions, because my daughter gave me a look that her mother has given me so many times, where she rolls her eyes. So we did not ended up ordering dessert, but we did hit up the restroom, and this is how warped and toxic my brain has become. I've now, because there's not many family restrooms where around here. I guess you see some in the airport, but I can't take her into the women's room when she has to go potty, or even when I go potty. So it's like, we got to go in the men's room. So she's been in a ton of men's rooms, a ton of men's restrooms. And I started to ask myself, will this be a problem in the future? Like, is she going to be that chick who is always whizzing in the urinal in the men's restroom at the bar? She's like, don't worry, my dad taught me this. It's like, I just had this feeling like she's going to think it's natural and normal to just waltz into men's restrooms when she grows up, thanks to the situation at hand currently. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Or my guess is that by the time she's an adult and going to bars, that there won't be men's and women's restrooms. It'll just be one big free-for-all. Like that scene in the shower scene in Starship Troopers. What are we talking about here, dude? What? She also, when she uses the potty, like, takes a lot of toilet paper, which I think is normal for women. If I, having lived with women, somehow, some way. I've noticed that they do tend to take more than what you should probably take. But then she balls it up and wipes. And I'm wondering if that's normal. Because, like, does the balled up toilet paper somehow is able to do a better job? I don't know. I don't think so. But asking for a friend, that friend being my daughter. She also was not a fan of her fries. I remember that. Because she basically ate, like, when they came to the table, she immediately made a comment like, what? She was flabbergasted. Like, these fries are too small. Are these fries, Daddy? And I'm like, oh my God, you're really going in on these fries. They're just not as big as you're used to. And then she went into a routine about how big she likes her fries. And I was thinking, oh, this should, getting a nice glimpse into her future, specifically when she begins dating. Like, what is your expectation in terms of fry size when it comes to your partner? Yikes. My mind, yeah. Hey, my mind's a cesspool. It goes in very stupid areas. We then went to Crumble Cookies, which is at the mall, the strip mall or whatever. Love their cookies. They're humongous. Each cookie is probably the size of this windscreen. You can't really see it, but I'll say the size of a softball in terms of width, maybe a little bit bigger. And thick as fuck, which I love. And not crisp, which I also love. I also love soft chocolate chip cookies. And they didn't have the regular chocolate chip cookies this time. And so I'm sitting there at the self-order kiosk because people don't want to talk to people anymore. You know, people don't want to, and I get it. It's frustrating talking to people. But this is one of those situations where I should have just talked to a person. Because, like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the screen as if I look closer, there'll be a hidden message that says, you know, we're out of chocolate chip cookies. Like, I just couldn't come to terms with the fact that a popular cookie place would be out of the most popular type of cookie. It just doesn't, that's not possible. So I'm looking and I'm selecting and deselecting and selecting, deselecting. And finally, Bree selects it. Sea salt and toffee. Do you think, I mean, does that like rank towards the top of your list of food items that a 4-year-old would like? I don't know. Sea salt and toffee. But she ate it like a champion. But, you know, I was nervous because it's a new type of cookie for her. They're expensive. I mean, for a cookie, they're expensive. One cookie is like $5. And I know it's like not in the grand scheme of things. It's such like so trivial. But it's also like, I also don't want to buy it, have her hold it the entire ride back. She gets in the house, the apartment, takes a bite and is like, yuck. That's just like, it kind of ruins the moment. So it was, nope. She decided to go with it. What I don't like about Crumble Cookies is that the person who announces the cookie, like they make the cookie in the back, like it's all very open. You can see them making the cookies. The person that comes up with the order and says your name, but says it in such a weird way that it doesn't, like, I'm just like, oh, is that, you know, did you use it? And I think it's partially because they're still wearing masks, which I've also been interested to see, like, when will workers stop wearing masks? Is that just like a permanent thing now? Like, I guess the government's going to announce the end of the pandemic in May. Does that mean like these restaurant workers don't have to wear their mask anymore? I don't know. Because I can't understand you with the mask off. And now it's, you do the math on whether I can understand you with the mask on. So I did get to try out Bard. I don't know if you've heard of Bard, but it's kind of like the Google equivalent of Chat GPT, which is like this AI bot that responds in a very human conversational manner. And I was curious because I've been using it to help me out with my script that I'm writing, the screenplay that I'm writing. And I'm wondering, like, if this thing actually sells, do I owe Bard any money? Like, if I'm pulling stuff from Bard and Bard's just feeding me the good stuff, which so far it has not disappointed. It's been nice. I feel like, what's the name? Joaquin Phoenix and Her. Was it Her or she or girl? What was it? Was ScarJo is the voice of the AI? Oh my God. Yikes. So that's how I feel like me and Bard are connecting on a deeper level. And it's, I'm just wondering about the financial situation. Should this movie blow up? Like, if I do win an award, am I splitting the award with him or her? I guess I shouldn't gender Bard. Sorry. Does Bard get royalty checks? Like, what are we doing here? So why have I been MIA? Okay, great question. We're only 22 minutes in and I'm finally getting around to it. Great. Well, the week of the 27th of March, I had through that Friday, that Thursday, March 30th, March 31st, the end of March, I went, my company had an offsite event in Orlando, Florida at the, I guess I can give them a shout out. I'll just say at a hotel that is within walking distance of Universal Studios Orlando. And so there were 2 days that I got to check out the amusement park because, you know, the other time we're supposed to be bonding, working together, collaborating, all that great stuff that makes dreams come true at your corporate job. But so Tuesday was a scavenger hunt that was Harry Potter themed. At Islands of Adventure. So there's Universal Studios Orlando, and then there's Islands of Adventure. 2 separate parks. There's also a third park, a water park that I think is like Kona Volcano Land or something like that. It's a water park, I think. I don't know. So we went to Islands of Adventure to do a Harry Potter themed scavenger hunt, which I sucked at because I never read the books. And I think I've watched kind of tuned in and out of the first Harry Potter movie. So it was of no help there. But then the hunt takes maybe an hour. And then we have this kind of all access pass with the fast pass, which is huge because if you don't get the fast pass, you have to stay in the regular line, which can take an hour or more to get through, which boggles my mind that, like, if you were to, like, who pitched the amusement park and how is that so popular with consumers? When you think about, like, if I want to go see John Wick 4 in the theater, how long would you wait in line to see that? You know what I mean? These amusement parks, these rides in these amusement parks last maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes is like almost unheard of on a ride, right? But yet people are willing to wait in line for an hour and a half to experience maybe 2 minutes of enjoyment. Is there anything else in the world like that? I mean, outside of, you know, the nut jobs that camp out at Apple stores to get the new friggin' iPhone. It's like those people are on another level. But I don't think those same people would then go to Universal Studios. I can't think of another thing like that. 2 minutes tops. And you're just waiting for 2 minutes of pure unadulterated thrills. I don't know. That just kind of struck me. But so we got the fast pass, which was huge. Went on that Harry Potter ride that's in Islands of Adventure, not Hagrid. What is it called? Shizer, dude. In the Forbidden Journey? Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. My first ride I can't even tell you the last time that I went on an amusement ride like these at an amusement park like this. I honestly can't tell you. The last time I remember going to an amusement park was probably after my freshman year in college, or the summer after my freshman year in college, maybe. And I was 18. And I was just like, I just want to go to that bar, get in illegally with a fake ID, and connect with this girl who says she has Molly. And if she's down, I'm down, but I'm not like gonna make an effort. God, that was the last time I was in an amusement park. I think I could be completely wrong about that, but it's been a while. 10 plus years, at least, almost 20, maybe even more than 20. So it's been a while. So we go on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, and it's really cool to have the fast pass. Although I feel it does still make me feel bad, you know, passing all these people with just like these looks of despair and anger, a volatile mix and cocktail of emotions, jealousy, envy. So that was like a little unusual because I've never used a fast pass before. I've never been able to do that. So was thinking like, I wouldn't be surprised if I get snook, stabbed in the back, shivved, just on my way walking down this the express lane to the ride. But it was a 3D virtual reality video simulator type ride where you sit in the chair, and then it kind of has like someone my coworker whose wife works at the amusement park was telling me like all the behind the scenes secrets and all that stuff. So he was saying like this what powers or moves your car or cart in the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey ride is what the automakers use, like those robot arms, those huge robot arms that kind of help put together cars at the car factory. It's like that is what is attached to this cart, and it's just flinging you around. And I was just like, whew, for some reason that scares me more than anything else on this ride. But I ended up being fine with it. My other coworker was completely traumatized. And, I think it took her a while to finally get to that place where she can actually communicate and talk like a normal human and not look completely shocked and stunned and awed. So, and I was like, oh my God. And then the other members of my crew, my scavenger hunt team, they were like, well, yeah, we don't want to go on any rides. And I was just like, wow, woo, how did I end up with this crew? But luckily there was one other member who did want to carry on. And so we went to Veloci-coaster. I've never really thought of myself as a scaredy cat when it comes to amusement park rides, specifically roller coasters. It's never that there's never been an instance where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go on that. I can't go on that. It's just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Veloci-coaster should be illegal. There's no way that has been scrutinized, observed, judged, and analyzed and approved. I can't see anyone from any kind of background or field of safety, adult safety, child safety, mental safety, approving this ride. There's no shoulder harness, right? You're not pulling that down over your shoulders. So there's nothing pinning you down to the chair. There's just a lap bar, nice little lap bar. And it doesn't really go down that deep on your lap. It's kind of like, I guess, getting a lapper from a lady who's not too keen on this exchange. Anyway, so that was a bit, I was like, all right, well, whatever. And then the ride took off. I was going 60 to 80 miles per hour, something like that. Did that twice, just out of nowhere. Like normally you have a slow incline, click, 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 and you get to think about your life and like, oh man, what am I going to do at the top of this thing? And like, how am I going to pose for the picture? And did I leave the oven on? So the Veloci-coaster doesn't have that. It just immediately just shoots you out of the cannon. And then you do a ridiculous amount of corkscrews, turns, twists, whizzing by, hurtling by, huge steel beams, water, just anything you could throw outside. It's coming at you fast and furious in the face. And anytime we would go upside down or twist, my ass came off the seat by a good half a foot to a foot. Feels like I'm just going to fly out of this thing, never to be heard from or seen again. And what didn't help with the anxiety was I had been watching our local station down there in Orlando, Wesh 2 or whatever. And all week I was just watching it to get a feel for the area. Like, what's the local news? What's the local talk in Orlando? And they just kept reporting on this one kid that was killed in an amusement park. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, the warning signs were there. He, capital H, was trying to tell me something. He was sending me signs through Wesh 2 Orlando, and I didn't listen. And this is how I go. Interesting. That was running through my mind as we were just out of control. 80, 90 miles per hour had to be. My God, roller coasters have come a long way since Batman the Ride in 1995 at Six Flags, New Jersey. Great Adventure, New Jersey. Like, they've come a real long way. You have to put all your loose items and personal belongings in a locker, which I actually kind of dig. I think that's kind of cool. And I screamed, and I don't yell and scream on roller coasters. Fun fact, not so fun fact. I'm not a scream guy. I was shrieking on Veloci-coaster. And sure enough, just mere minutes after watching my coworker come out of a ride, traumatized and being like, I'll never be like that. That is exactly the physical, mental, emotional state I was in coming off Veloci-coaster. I was like, I think the game done changed. I think it's passed me by. I think all these years of not riding roller coasters, I've lost my touch. I'm covered in rust and there's no way it's coming off. I don't know if I can do roller coasters anymore. And they have the same warning sign up around the parks, and it lists like, if you recently had surgery, if you have heart issues, if it lists off all these things. And I'm like sitting there, I'm going, well, you look at that sign when you're 21, 18, and you don't even read it because you're like, that's for old people. No, I don't even need to look at it because I know that's for someone who's not me. And then I decide to read it now at the age of 42. And I'm like, check. Yeah, check. Like, do you have any back or neck problems? Yeah. Do you have any heart issues? I feel like I do, So I was just like, yeah, maybe this is what they were talking about. Like what I'm feeling now post Veloci-coaster. This is what they're talking about in these warning signs. And this is why I shouldn't have gone on it and shouldn't have written it. And maybe I should just pack it in, hang them up, give a speech, the whole nine. So high blood pressure, heart condition. I'm just like, yeah, it's elevated. Is that so bad? But I thought the funniest line item on the warning sign was, and if you have the sensitivity, I'm sorry. It gives me it makes me laugh a little bit. So, sensitivity to light, strobe lights in particular. I get that, I get it. But then there's another one that says sensitivity to fog effects. Okay. All right. Never seen that before, but people weren't allergic to peanut butter when I was in school. So I don't know. Things change. Sensitivity to fog effects. And I was like, man, that must be brutal for someone who lives in London, San Francisco. I mean, we had a cloud of fog completely wrap us up like a blanket. It was to the point where we couldn't see. This was on the beach in South Carolina when I visited there after Universal Studios. Just what was it called? A haboob? That's with dust, right? This is with fog or mist. It looked like a haboob of mist. Just like I can see that building and now I can't see that building. I can see that person standing 5 feet away and they're gone. I can hear helicopters above me. I wouldn't be able to shoot them down with, heat-seeking missiles. So yeah, the fog effects really got me, but I kind of laughed at that. But now I'm thinking like maybe it was trying to tell me something, because I came off that Veloci-coaster and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that again, and I don't know if I'm fit enough or equipped to ride on any other rides. It really got in my head. So we skipped River Adventure Ride mostly because we were in somewhat workish clothes, like not necessarily super casual, but not super business, kind of in between, We were wearing mullets, basically. So no River Adventure Ride, but another coworker did go on the ride, came off, was soaked, looked like he had just been in the shower. And we said, how was he? He was like, good. And he was like, I just spent $7 for a dryer to dry me off. How much does that dryer pull in per annum? I was thinking about that. It was like the fact that they have like this carnival game that is like screaming scam from across the park. Someone felt the need to put that there and actually have that run and be up and running at an amusement park where there's rides like Veloci-coaster and Island River Adventure. Like the person who puts together the park is like you shouldn't be able to step in any direction without having to pay something. So let's make sure we charge for hot wind, please. When we are the ones who cause them to be wet. $7 for a dryer. I know I sound like a friggin' old fart, but like, is it that expensive to get that kind of hot? I guess, yeah, heat's expensive, judging by my friggin' bill every month. Unreal. So we ended up going to Skull Island, Reign of Kong, which was another one of those VR type rides. And even though we had the fast pass, it was still the longest wait of any ride we went on, which was weird because I don't think it's widely considered to be like the best ride at Islands of Adventure. But so we waited a long time, and that's when I got to know my other coworker who said she lives in Rhode Island. And I said, oh, I used to live in Rhode Island. And I've never seen maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it. No way. You overthink? But like saying, oh yeah, I used to live in Rhode Island, and then I go to Block Island a lot. Oh yeah, we go to Block Island a lot. And so I thought that I was already envisioning a scenario where like I'm visiting my friends on Block Island at their house, and I like text my coworker and say, hey, you and the husband and the fiance coming over, and then like they forge a friendship or relationship, and then somehow they introduce me to someone, and like woo, incredible the way that the thinking that happens. Just an absolute snowball avalanche of things happening based on the fact that we just both lived in Rhode Island and we know Block Island. That's it. It's based on that exchange alone. All these things have happened in the future to me. So, and we're talking about like the bars and the restaurants on Block Island. Like, oh, I saw you wearing a Payne's hat. Like, I know that bar. And I was like, yeah, we love that bar. And they're like, oh, and the Ore, like, you go to the Ore, and they're like, yeah, of course. So it's just like, and then I guess this is what did it. I kind of told her that I'm related to former Mayor of Providence, Buddy Cianci. Like my grandmother's Norma Cianci. That's her maiden name. And so her cousin is Buddy Vincent A. Cianci Jr. And it feels like after I told her that, it was just like cut off all communication with this dude because I didn't talk to her. We were there 2 more days, and I didn't say we just didn't say anything to each other in those next 2 days. And I was like, but we had that. Remember, we were talking about Payne's, and then we were talking about Champlain's, and we were talking about the Ore, and like we were talking about all the cool Block Island shit. And like I was gonna invite you to my friend's house, and then you guys would hit off with my friends, and then you would introduce me to someone that to me, and then I can just take the over on me fucking up, just like put it in a future right now. Neal, it's not great returns. It's minus 1,500, but Neal fucking up something you didn't think could possibly be fucked up that quickly. Booyah. Anyway, Skull Island Reign of Kong was another VR ride. There are bench seats, and each bench should fit 6 people. But for whatever reason, they decided about halfway to like 3/4 of the way into the bench, they're going to put this metal rail. No, keep in mind, no one else has a metal rail on the bench except this one person with one hand. And so guess who had to sit on that rail because there was some hardo dad that kept on pushing us forward. So his freaking puny 10-year-old kid, maybe 10, could be 7, I don't know, could take up so that he could man spread, and that his 7-year-old boy could have like all the elbow room in the friggin' world, dude. Just like doing the chicken dance left and right. So that was not enjoyable. So I don't put that on Kong. I put that more on the developers and the engineers. I mean, it's better. It was better than that old Kong ride. I mean, the old Kong ride is just like it. But the last time I went to Universal Studios, I think I was probably either 8 or 9 or 13. It's either those 2-3 ages. But back then when I went, like the old Kong ride, it was still entertaining to me, even though I knew it was fake. I was like, this is still pretty damn impressive. But it's like, as an adult looking back, you're like, that was not impressive at all. Like, it was cheesy as hell. But this new Kong ride substantially better than the old Kong ride, where it was like, and now the street is collapsed and the trolleys make like falling towards you, and it's like you can see like like kind of the hydraulics. You hear the hydraulics, and like you can see the hydraulics like lowering the street, the caved in part of the street, and like the trolley then is like kind of like inching towards you, and it's just. Was that the Kong ride, or was that the earthquake ride or something? I don't know, dude. Anyway, it was all right. It was cool. I appreciate when the VR is you're surrounded by the VR, so it's not just like you're sitting in an IMAX theater. Like it's the screens are just all around you. I like that. That was pretty cool. We had some. I don't think any of the people in the ride are from the movies. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. But like there was a woman named Kay who's wearing like a pilot's jacket. And then our guide through this jungle, this world was some random Texan woman with just a horrible accent. And I don't know that she added much to like the experience, to be frank. But Kay gets abducted by a monster crab. Like this huge claw comes out of nowhere, snaps her up and just pulls her out of frame, out of scene, out of camera, off camera. And the random Texan woman is like, "Oh no, we got to get her." And it's like, all right. And then the ride, you go through the ride, Kong is like fighting off. Oh, they had that friggin' thing that looks like an animal's wee-wee. You know what I'm talking about? Like comes out like that, like an animal's genitalia, not ours, but just like the way it comes out, and then it's like spit. So it got wet from that. It was like nasty. And then you have these different creatures, these dinosaurs, and then you have Kong come and he beats the piss out of them and saves the day. Thanks, Kong. Appreciate it. But I did like how they synced up like the video of Kong jumping on our train trolley, whatever, to get to the other side and having it shake. Like that felt somewhat real to me. It was just short, but I don't think it was as bad as some people had pointed it out to be, you know? We then went on the Hulk coaster. It did have a shoulder harness. My ass did not lift off the seat. And so I felt very comfortable and still enjoyed the ride. Like, I don't know that you necessarily have to fear for your life for it to be fun, right? I know some people get off on that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know that I have a huge death wish. So this one has a shoulder harness, and people were complaining about their heads getting knocked around and hitting the sides, the back, getting whiplash, and like not having. And it's like, dude, you need to hit the gym. All right, you need to strengthen your neck. I'm talking neck, chin ups, chin downs, neck ups, neck rolls. You got to really exercise that thing. But I just treated it like I was a member of a bobsled team. It was just like I can see the turns coming up, so I just like kind of lean into each turn, you know? And everything turned out just gravy. Very bland and generic, though. Like a lot of these rides that I'm talking about, they have, as you're waiting in line, they either have a video loop playing that is entertaining and also informative. Decorations on the wall or props, lots of visuals, a lot of stuff to keep you somewhat engaged, entertained. I think the Hulk had like one video screen, and it was just like a guy, some random guy, I don't even know if it was Bruce Banner, going through the radiation process or whatever. And it just felt like, I don't know, maybe because there was hardly any wait that we just zoomed through that. And so we weren't really paying attention to a lot of that. But even on the ride itself, it's like there's one big statue of Hulk out front, but then there's nothing along the way that says it's like the Hulk. There's nothing. There's no branding. There's no like villains, heroes, props, like anything. I guess you could say the same about Veloci-coaster to a certain extent, because that's completely, although I don't know, I think you do go through certain portions that have dinosaurs. This just didn't have anything. So it's like you could have been, if it weren't for the Hulk statue out front, it could be like, it could be anything. Like the Veloci-coaster, you're waiting in line. There's a video of Bryce Dallas Howard as what's her face from Jurassic World, and then you have Chris Pratt, the Raptor Wrangler from Jurassic World, and they're like talking to each other, and I was like, "Whoa, this is some pretty cool stuff." Like normally, it might be difficult to get like the original stars to do stuff like this, but they did it, and it sets the tone. Most rides did. They share some backstory as to like what's the deal with this ride. What's your mission? What's your objective? There was none of that in the whole coaster. It was just like, we're going to show one guy getting blown up with radiation, and then you're good to go. So we didn't get to go on many rides that day, Tuesday. After the whole coaster, I think a lot of people were cruising for some boozing. They wanted something to eat and they wanted something to guzzle, and so we ended up picking Margaritaville. Like, why not go hundreds of miles away from your home and really experience the local culture, at this place called, what is it? Margaritaville? Sounds French. It's like unbelievable. I mean, we all kind of admitted that, like, this is kind of crazy that we're going to this place out of all the places that we could go to. And looking back, I'd rather we have gone to, apparently the Sushi Cow Burger place is pretty decent. And then my brother-in-law said the chocolate emporium is more than just chocolate. It's also empowerment. But we got their margaritas, which really hit the spot. Saw a lady on stilts, which was kind of nuts. And then they had volcano alerts, where anytime you order the volcano nachos, they play this alert and go through this whole rigmarole. I was like, kind of awkward if they do this in Hawaii. I think Hawaii's already been through enough, in terms of fake alerts. The volcano nachos are almost 4,000 calories, which is almost half of Michael Phelps' daily calorie intake. So we all ended up getting fish tacos and then headed back to the hotel. So no, we didn't get to go on Hagrid's Motorcycle Adventure, whatever the hell it's called. I didn't get to go on the Amazing Spider-Man ride. Didn't get to go on Doctor Doom's Deadfall, whatever it's called. And so I was like, damn, maybe I should have not just succumbed to peer pressure so easily. And I should have been like, hey, I'll check you guys later, and I'm going to go do my own thing. So I was a little bummed. And then I was talking with the coworker, the wife, who works at Universal Studios. And he was like, I could probably help you out there. I could probably hook you up. So sure enough, he's able to pull the most romantic of strings, calling a favor to his wife. And I'm able to get tickets to the other park, Universal Studios Orlando, which I feel like it was a speed run. I mean, I felt like I was going pretty fast through it just to make sure I got everything before I had to leave, because my flight. So the whole reason I'm able to do this on Thursday is quote unquote a travel day, which I didn't know at the time I booked my flight. So when I booked my flight, I was like, well, I guess the only flight that really I can take is that later flight, 9 p.m. because we're going to be doing stuff during the day and da. So then I come to find out, nah, dude, Thursday's a travel day. There's nothing going on. It's just you traveling home. And so I was like, well, I don't, what am I going to do with myself for, a full day, 12 plus hours. And so I was able to get hooked up with a ticket to Universal Studios Orlando. I had another coworker who's like down to go with me. And then he said, yeah, I'll meet you out on the boat, which there's a boat that you can take down this lagoon, lake. I don't even know what you call it, body of water. And it can drop you off right at the park. He's like, yeah, meet me out on the boat at 7:30 a.m. Sound good? And I was just like, no, you go ahead, because I like to party, and I plan on partying tonight because it's our last night here. So sure enough, I went out until probably 2 a.m. at the Thirsty Fish at the hotel bar. Saved a life, no big deal. Don't want to get into much into details, but saved a life. And so I didn't get back to my hotel room till like maybe 1. And then I ate this unbelievably unreal chocolate chip cookie. When we talk about chocolate chip cookies, you thought the one from Crumble Cookie was legit. You need to talk about, and understand the girth, the size of Gideon's Bakehouse. I hope to God it's Gideon's Bakehouse. I think it's Gideon's Bakehouse. Yeah, Gideon's Bakehouse. I've never seen a chocolate chip cookie like this, ever. It was basically, you couldn't see the cookie. So the Gideon's original chocolate chip is the foundation of who we are, first child. Recipe took 15 years to perfect and is filled with history. It is packed inside and out with a variety of chocolates infused with different vanillas, and it has a texture that might almost trick you into thinking you're eating cookie dough, which I freaking love, dude. This cookie has been named everything from best in Orlando to best on planet Earth, and we couldn't be prouder to make it from scratch daily. I mean, I wish I could show a picture of this thing, and maybe I will in the video, but you can't see the actual dough of the cookie. It just looks like a big ball of chocolate chips, which I freaking loved. So highly recommend. And I ate that. And then finally got to bed somehow with about 10,000 grams of sugar coursing through my veins, fell asleep at like 2 a.m. And then didn't wake up until maybe 9 something, 10 something. And then I had to check out by 11. So I didn't get to the other park until, I made the mistake of going a little bit later than I should have. But the idea of having to get up early to do anything is really not in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I didn't get to the park until 11:30 a.m. So as soon as I get to the entrance, it all starts to come rushing back to me in my memories from visiting this place before. Because I don't really remember Islands of Adventure, that section, too much. But I do remember from my childhood coming, approaching the entrance, the gates or whatever, and having that street with the old timey car parked by the curb, like that kind of stuff. It started to rush back in terms of my memories. And I decided to go right, and I make a right and go counterclockwise around the park. And I saw these character actors, one of which was a woman playing Betty Boop, which it's mind-boggling to me that it's crazy to me that Universal Studios has decided they did away with the Back to the Future ride. So the last time I went to Universal Studios, there was a Back to the Future ride. I was 8, 9, 10, maybe 13. And it's one of my only major memories that I have from when I'm younger, which could be an issue that is going to come back to bite me square in the brain when I'm older. But one of the biggest memories that I have is from Universal Studios going on Back to the Future, the ride, just nonstop, like loop. Like we go up, get on it, come back off. There's no line, go right back up, get on it, come back out, line, no, like 3, 4, 5 times in a row. It was one, I want to say it was one of the first video simulation rides that ever existed. Like the other one I think about is Inner Space. And I don't know if that's Universal Studios, maybe not. I think that might be Disney. But such a great ride. And I was shocked to hear that Universal Studios no longer has it. So you no longer have that, but you still have E.T. the ride, and you still have an entire section of Islands of Adventure dedicated to comic strip characters that I guarantee you 95% of the people in that park have no idea who they are. Popeye and Brutus, yeah, maybe. Wimpy, I don't know, maybe. But like Family Circus or Circle, whatever it's called. Not Hagrid, but Hagar. Like your Sunday funnies. Like an entire street section dedicated to those characters that there's no, like Dagbert. Is it Dagbert? Dagby? I don't know. It's just like you're going to dedicate a whole section of the street to that, and you're not going to have Back to the Future ride, which is like arguably the most popular sci-fi film of all time. Definitely the most popular time travel movie of all time. A friggin' trilogy. I ended up finding out that they did have the DeLorean kind of out and about, and you could take pictures with it, which I thought that was cool. It was kind of hidden. It was like in between a food truck and bushes. Like it didn't seem like they were advertising it or promoting it there very much. There weren't any signs. It was just there. And then they have Dr. Emmett Brown, character actor, roaming the premises and taking photos with people. Far more relevant than E.T. the ride. And then this character actor, Betty Boop. I'm 42. I vaguely remember Betty Boop when I was growing up. As an adult, Betty Boop is pretty much porn. I'll just say that. Like this character actor who had to play Betty Boop is probably in college, like 18 to 24. that age frame probably has zero idea who Betty Boop is and what she does. But man, she nailed the voice. And I was thinking to myself, Betty Boop likes to bump uglies. Dude, that's a fact. You can't tell me otherwise. So just interesting and weird. I did see Beetlejuice. That was cool. Didn't really feel like the need to pester him for a photo, but I mean, makeup and hair was great. I mean, I don't want to say almost a dead ringer for Michael Keaton in Beetlejuice. Very nice. I guess the penguins from Madagascar were dancing around. The meerkat or whatever from Madagascar was hanging out, dancing around, which was cool. But the ET Adventure, which is the first ride that I went on in the Universal Studios park, I was first surprised and shocked that this ride still exists. And then second, I felt very self-conscious because it's so clearly a little children's ride, little kids ride. Like, why is a grown middle-aged man not wearing a wedding ring and without children going on this ride? And it's a part of me was like, that's definitely running through someone's mind or minds. There are multiple minds that are thinking like the same thing. It's just like, who's this creeper? Who do we alert? We've already contacted the authorities for the safety of the park and our visitors. We kindly ask this single man to leave. It's just like, I'm sorry, how old are you? You're in your 40s. Okay. No wedding ring and no child. Okay. And you're going on children's ride. Okay. So yeah, I felt just a tad self-conscious about that. But the kids love it. The kids still love it. I mean, you know, you're waiting in line and Steven Spielberg comes on and he's talking to ET and it's like, this is playing on a square television. Like this is about as standard def as you can get. Yeah, we're not looking at this in high def. And yeah, so it's the same exact ride that's always been there, which is crazy. And you go through it, and I'm fully expecting this little kid sitting in front of me. I'm like, there's no way the kids like it. There's no way. They've seen so much. They've grown up so fast. How could they possibly think that this is cool? And we went through, and as an adult, I'm like, it is astonishing how outdated everything looks in this ride. Like, just so incredibly. And I'm sure there's no way if you gave me $1 million that I could figure out how to build that on my own. But I was looking at it and I was scoffing at it like, you kidding me with that? With that cop car? You kidding me with this talking mannequin? You kidding me? This is like some third grade Mickey Mouse bullshit. But sure enough, the ride ends. By the way, I kind of blacked out the second half of the final portion of that ride because it takes a turn. Like, that's not really, I don't think it's really shown too much in the movie, if at all. But that part where we're now on ET's home planet and look at all these different characters. It bugged me out. That's all I'll say. But of course, the ride's coming to an end. The guardian, I don't know if it's the father or not, turns to the little kid and says, "What'd you think? Do you like it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was so cool." And I was like, this is why this ride is still open. And maybe if my dad had just asked me, "What'd you think, bud? Did you like the ride?" And I said, "It's so cool," in front of some employee at Back to the Future ride, we would still have it. I don't know. I missed the Bourne Stunt-tacular. I could have waited 10 minutes for it to open. And I was like, nope, I got to keep moving. I can't waste any time. Sure enough, I end up wasting time. But so after ET Adventure, I missed Bourne Spectacular. I didn't go on Kang. And so I started to enter Springfield from The Simpsons. So it was basically the Simpsons Krusty Land area of Universal Studios, which I thought was the coolest part of that entire park, the entire section. It makes me wonder why they don't try, and I guess it's because that's the strongest, biggest, best IP, and like so they invested in it more, knowing that it's like, oh, it's the most popular outside of possibly Harry Potter. But I really dug just the vibe, the decor, the like everything was just so spot on with that Springfield section. And so they had Kang and Kodo's Twirl and Hurl, which definitely threw off a Midwestern mom / wife. It was just like, a hurl? Ooh. That's how Midwesterners sound, right? Can't even say Midwesterner. So I didn't go on that. It turns out it was a little kid's ride anyway, where it's like it just goes gently up and down and around. Like it's not a big, huge thing. I got a picture in front of Lard Lad Donuts, Moe's Bar, Cletus's Chicken Shack, which I appreciated. I thought that was a clever way to get that character out there. Chief Wiggum's police car. I had a Duff Light at the Duff Brewery, which was cool. Got a little wild with like my thoughts sitting across from two ladies, which is just like, I actually said to myself, what's the move here? And then I also said to myself, it's drinking your beer and just enjoying life. Do you need to just calm down, bro? I went into Moe's Bar and I was like, I could probably saddle up at Moe's Bar and do some damage. You know, I don't know how much more I can get out of amusement park as like a grown ass man. Like, do I need to ride all the rides? But not an open seat in the house at Moe's Bar, which sucks because it looked like they had a pretty cool selection of drinks. I think they did have a Flaming Moe's, which I would have loved to try. But I was on a time limit, dude. I was on the clock. I had to burn through all this stuff and enjoy it as quickly as possible because apparently I need to be at the airport 17 hours before the flight takes off because security in Orlando hasn't got the memo about trying to move people through quickly. There was also Krusty Burger, which I think that was probably one of my biggest regrets was not just sucking it up and waiting in that line and getting a Krusty Burger because it was like the line was out the restaurant into the street. Like, I don't, but what I got instead pales in comparison to what I think the Krusty Burger would have been. The Duff Light was like a Pilsner. So it wasn't, the Duff beer was like a Scottish red ale, I think, or maybe that was the other beer I had. So we went to a bar after the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey ride. And it was like, oh, I want a butter beer. And then I found out it doesn't have alcohol in it. I was like, can you get butterbeer with alcohol? And they're like, yeah. And then I heard the wench, or is it just the bartender? Probably just the bartender. I heard her talk about going through all the various options on tap. And one of them was like Dragon Scale. And I was like, oh, yeah. I don't care if it tastes like donkey manure. Give me some Dragon Scale. So I was surprised to see, and I think that was a Scottish red ale. Anyway, the Duff Light was the way to go, in my opinion. So I had the Duff Light, the Pilsner, then went on the Simpsons ride. It was another 3D, I guess 4D, they call it, VR video simulation. Not necessarily that scary. I just appreciated how silly, goofy, and funny it was. I mean, Itchy and Scratchy doing the safety video before you go on is pretty hilarious. Although there were a couple of, like, it was just, again, I think a lot of people in my shoes would not have done what I did, which is to go to an amusement park by myself, childless, partnerless, without a wedding ring, and at my age. I don't know that a lot of people would have done what I did. Because you're in the waiting room where the safety video is playing with Itchy and Scratchy. And like, I again, no child, Bree's with her mom because this is a work event. But there are other parents with kids, and like some of the kids are like just tall enough to ride the ride, but like might not be just that comfortable yet with the level of graphic violence that comes with Itchy and Scratchy. You could see like some of the parents like looking at their kid and like looking at this TV screen like, I think maybe I made a mistake here. But I enjoyed the ride a lot. Kind of like it was that IMAX experience I was referring to before, where it's like you're in the vehicle, you can't really see on the sides. It's just you're looking forward the entire time, but you go through like this crazy, I guess, roller coaster. But I'm just impressed with just the ability to like coordinate that to make it feel so real. I don't know. I had such a good time with The Simpsons that I'm thinking about maybe I should do a little binge watch and catch up on the show. Cause I guess, the reason why I am the way I am, holy shit, is because of getting a TV, like a 12-inch TV in my bedroom when I was 8. Because then I started watching The Simpsons at 8 or 9. And then In Living Color also, I think, came after that night. So I watched that a lot. Married with Children, watched that a lot. And my dad would have to come in and tell me to turn it off because, you know, you're 8 or 9. And now I have 4 screens in front of me at all times. No big deal. No long-term effects. No repercussions, no consequences. Yeah, so I think I stopped watching The Simpsons after high school. I think right around the time that South Park came along, I was like, well, I'm a South Park guy now. Even though, yeah, it's like, whoa, geez. But I just, after like right junior, senior year in high school, I think I stopped watching The Simpsons. And I just never got back on that train. I think I tried watching a few years ago because I just ran out of stuff to watch. And I was like, this feels different. So, but the beauty of today's current state of media is I can now do what I do with a lot of other series where I've like kind of trailed off, like Family Guy, American Dad, and just go to IMDb and see what the ratings are, you know, for each episode and be like, all right, I'll check out this one. All right, I'll check out this one. And going that way. So maybe I could do that with The Simpsons. Men in Black Alien Attack is total bullshit. What a crock, man. What a crock. You get a zapper and you're told you have unlimited ammo. So just keep shooting. And sometimes it takes more than one shot to take down an alien. It's like, all right, okay, I get it. I'm just going to keep my finger on the trigger or just rapid fire, pull it nonstop until they peel me from this seat, my man. And at the end, everyone gets a score. And they have the big, huge portraits and photos of the best, highest scoring team from each year. So 1999, 2004, blah, 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 which I thought was really, really cool. I didn't get it at the time. And then after the ride, I was like, oh, that is pretty cool. So we go through the ride. And I feel like I'm directly pointing a zapper at like I'm like millimeters away from an alien, and I'm just rapid fire pulling the trigger, and it doesn't feel like anything is happening. Like I'm seeing other zappers light up red or green, like going off, and mine's not doing that. And I'm just like, what the frig is happening? And so we go through, and I'm like, I feel like I crushed it. Like I was just like, everything was in, like you look at the other people in my car and they're kind of, you know, they don't know how to hold the zapper and they're like, they don't know how to aim. And I'm just sitting there like friggin', I was going to say Deadpool, but that's not the dude's name. The guy in DC Comics, Sharpshooter, Deadeye, Deadeye? No, Dead Shooter, Deadshot. Oh my God. But, I got the lowest score. We had like women and children. It was just, you know, people you wouldn't historically say would be great with the zapper. And I think my final score was like 27,000. The average score is 69,000. And everyone in my car, the one woman in front of me had like, the little girl in front of me had 132,000 points. What's happening there? Everyone else was like 70,000, 87,000. Like I brought down our average. So I was a bit steamed by that. And I was like, I think a younger me that had more time would definitely just keep going on Men in Black Alien Attack until I got the average. And then I would go back again as long as it took just to get that high score. But no, a calmer, more responsible, more mature me kept the train going along. Because I'm on a clock, man. I figured I had to leave the park at around 4:30. 4:15 to get back to the hotel, to get an Uber, to take the ride to the airport, which should be half an hour, but wouldn't you know it, probably was going to be an hour. So I had like 5 hours, less than 6 hours to get through this entire park, and then try and like hit up the rides I missed in the Islands of Adventure. So, but I was starting to get hungry at this point. And I wasn't a big fan of the like Mardi Gras was going on. So they had all these different food stands that were serving different, like each food stand was a different country and the country's cuisine was being served. And it just felt like everything was so freaking fried. I'm like, everything is fried? Everything is fried around the world. Cool. And decided to go to Bumblebee's So I tried to get a seat at I started to get hungry, and I couldn't find Harry Potter Diagon Alley or Harry Potter and the Escape from the Gringotts. And it turns out, I guess it's hidden, so you wouldn't know unless you know to look for it. And I just didn't know to look for it. I was just like, there should be a ride here, but I don't see anything, so move it along. Then I saw the Hogwarts Express King's Crossing, and I was like, is this a ride? Should I get on this? But if I get on this, does that mean I'm leaving this park and going to the other park? I know my coworker said to do that once I want to switch parks, but not like, so I didn't go on that. I ended up going on the Fast and Furious Supercharged ride, which is just as ridiculous as the franchise itself. I can't believe how far we've come to think that, I mean, who'd have thought in 2001 that is what the end product would be? Like an amusement ride, a ride at an amusement park at Universal Studios. Like, what the hell? So while you're waiting, it's a little more interactive or a little more involved than most of the other places. Most of the other places, they'll set up like a huge screen or TV screens, monitors around where you're waiting in line, and they'll play like a video loop. They did this for Fast and the Furious Supercharged, and they had the real actors from the movie franchise: Ludacris, The Rock, Vin Diesel, Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson. They had all the real actors like in the video loop that was playing, and then in the video simulation as well. But then they had real life actors or performers, which I don't feel like a lot. I don't think any of the other rides that I went to had that. And when I tell you that these two actors or performers were on the brink of killing themselves in front of us, I'm not lying. Okay, that's no exaggeration. I think the Universal. I need to write an email. I need to email Universal and be like, hey, like, you got to stop with the real actors and performers in that waiting line. You just have to stop for their sake, for our sake. Like, it's just going to end really badly. I mean, the one guy, like basically both of them had to be going completely off script, which I guess I would do too. I mean, you do this every 5 minutes for an 8-hour shift. I don't know how you're still standing and you still have your head attached. So they were definitely riffing and going off script and saying like, yeah, you're not listening to me. No one's listening to me. Well, if you listen to me, you'd know. No, you're not listening to me. You don't know. Oh, the mole's right there. Like, so nonchalantly not like, and I started to think about it. I was like, I guess that's just the difference in generations. Like, I can't imagine in 1989 going to Universal Studios where there were real performers while you wait in line and having them act and behave like that. It just would never happen. And I know this sounds like, boomer talk or whatever, but it's just interesting to see like these performers were just not having it. They were just like, we're going. But I did worry for their well-being after leaving that waiting line. I was like, are you guys okay? Do you want to take a break? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are they having you do this? It's a form of torture. And I think they were talking like they were prisoners. They really did. Like, please help. At one point, I think they were saying, please help me, get me out of here. I can't take this anymore. And I was just like, this doesn't feel like it's part of the ride. This feels like a different ride. The ride itself, your group is supposed to go to the after party for a race. There's like some big race that Vin Diesel's racing in. And then there's a huge party, and we've been invited to the after race party. But it turns out that a key witness that would put away, what's his face? Shaw, would put away Shaw is amongst your group. And so Shaw is coming to take out that key witness and you along with him or her. So you get on this party bus. I can't believe this is a ride. I can't believe it's such a successful franchise, and I can't believe this is a fucking ride. I cannot believe it. You get on a party bus, and the party bus drives you by like this warehouse party looking thing where Tyrese is coming in with some ladies, but then the FBI comes and breaks it up and is like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, we're family. And then they're like, be safe out there. We'll be right there with you to help you through this on your way to the after race party. Cause I guess there's another after race party, or was that the party? I don't know. And then you go into the similar thing that you did with King Kong, where it's like, you're almost like a tunnel or a tube, screens all around you on each side. And then you have to kind of just like bounce your head back and forth. Okay, like what should I be watching now? Like, I don't know. So cool ride, I guess. Like you get to go by a bunch of through a line of really cool classic cars, muscle cars, sports cars, whatnot. And then you go through the video simulation, and then you come out, and that's that. So it did feel like again, similar to just a step up from the Hulk coaster in terms of like, it would have been nice if they dressed it up a little bit more. You know, it felt there. I guess that was to point out like how real they wanted it to feel, as if you're in the movie. I don't know. Decent though. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was just like, I can't believe that this is a ride, and I can't believe that this franchise is so goddamn successful, because I just want Back to the Future the ride. But I was kind of by myself in that thinking, because I think people loved it. I think people loved it. There are a lot of kids, like college kids, high school kids, that were just like, oh, that was awesome. That was so rad. And it was like, I didn't hear that on a lot of other rides. So I don't know. It's just something that I don't think is ever going to click for me. I ended up going on Revenge of the Mummy, another franchise that, like Harry Potter, I just didn't get into. I think the first movie came out when I was in college. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, this is just like a ripoff of Indiana Jones. So like, why would I want to, why? You know, it's crazy that it's still going strong, still a popular ride. It was one of the longer waits that I had for a ride. And it was for a ride that probably had to come out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It feels like that might be one of the older rides in the park, right there with E.T. Adventure. I don't know. But it was better than expected. You know, having been through E.T.'s Adventure and knowing how old that was, like to go through Revenge of the Mummy, I was like, no, this is cool. But it was kind of short. There were, I mean, it's like a indoor roller coaster, but a lot of like video screens and whatnot, and actually a fair amount of pyrotechnics where like you can feel the heat of the flame tickle your fancy. So that was cool. I enjoyed that. I tried to eat at Finnegan's Bar and Grill. Apparently that's one of the top rated restaurants or bars that you can go to in Universal Studios. So I tried to settle up to the bar, no dice or no space. And then it was going to be like an hour wait for a seat. And I was like, I don't have an hour. Damn it. So I ended up going on Transformers the Ride, which was pretty cool. Not many actors from the movie franchise in the pre-recorded vignettes, which I thought was interesting. It's like Josh Duhamel, like couldn't get Shia to say one sentence, or Megan Fox to just a picture of Megan Fox. Like John Cena, Wahlberg, like you couldn't, John Turturro, like no one. Dang. The one guy they did get, though, I don't know if the other guy has been in any of the movies, but the one guy they got has been in like 24, and he's always like military, or he's always wearing a suit. That guy, like kind of balding, white guy, reddish hair, but always super serious. Like I feel like that lent some credibility to the pre-recorded safety video that they throw on loop. This was also kind of a 3D, 4D video simulation ride. I thought compared to what eventually was Amazing Spider-Man, I felt like it was pretty interactive, pretty realistic. So, yeah, I like that a lot. That was cool. You get more of the story with Transformers: The Last Ride, you know, the Allspark and whatnot. I feel like there's a lot more, your mission or objective is a little bit clearer. And I thought it built the anticipation nicely. It was like getting you ready for what to expect out there and to get you more excited and hyped up. The other ones, you didn't feel like that kind of urgency, or something like that. It wasn't like, here's a sneak peek at like the mayhem that you're entering, or here's like stuff like that. Other rides just didn't do that. So I recommend, if your time is short, Transformers Ride, you could do worse, man. I don't want to say it's not the best, but not the worst either. I passed by Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon. And again, I was like, Universal Pictures, Universal Television, like Universal, you have so much IP, so many properties. You went with Jimmy Fallon for a ride? No offense, Jimmy Fallon, but Jace, Louis, can you just bring back Back to the Future, the ride? Yeah, I just don't understand how it got shut down so that you can still have E.T. Adventure and Jimmy freaking Fallon and Revenge of the Mummy. Like, where is the justice? So I passed on that because I was just like, I have a sense of what it is. Like, Jimmy's got to get to the show. And it starts in 5 minutes and you got to get through crazy New York City in a cab. Like, it's just a little too tied to reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, where are the creatures, the villains, the over the top stuff like that? Just come on. So I passed on that. I also passed on the Minions Mayhem Despicable Me ride. I felt like that was probably geared more towards kids, but no, I don't know. Maybe something I could be regretting that. So I was hungry at this point, super hungry. I ended up settling for Bumblebee Man's taco truck, which turns out was probably just as long a wait in that what I thought was short line for food truck to the line for Krusty Burger that was out of the restaurant into the street. So, and of course I paid like $20 for what turned out to be 2 teeny tiny tacos and like 5 tortilla chips. So I was like, okay, I need something else. And that's when I went to I think it was the Colombian food stand for Mardi Gras. And I got empanadas and arepas. And I've been having a hankering for arepas con queso ever since I saw Encanto. I was like, that shit looks so good and so delicious. And you would think that my grown-up adult developed brain would have realized by now that every food in cartoons looks delicious, dude. It doesn't mean you need to have it. And so I ended up ordering it, and I didn't realize what it was when I ordered it. I thought it was going to be more cheese, less dough, but it's basically like a giant piece of cornbread. Not really. A masa cake, which is mostly just like flour and wheat, I think, and all that stuff that is just so great for my girlish figure. But I couldn't find a table, so I just basically sat on like a curb and went to town. Just like stuffed my face to the point where I think people thought that I had just been rescued off a deserted island, like I hadn't seen food in 4 months, just wolfing it down, using my hands, no utensils. And then I decided, you know what would go well with this meal a meal that took the fast pass to my digestive system. It'll be great for that, just to top it off, the cherry on top, a roller coaster. So I went on a Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. Again, what are you doing, Universal? This feels like a missed opportunity, unless I'm missing something where it's like, so the gist of the roller coaster is it's music themed. And I think the big takeaway or perk is that you get to pick the music that is played in your individual seat while you go on the roller coaster, and you can pick the genre, and then you pick the artist within that genre. That's the appeal. That's it. It's not from like, I don't believe it's from any movie or TV show. And the only thought I have is like, I guess they want to highlight and feature, like they must have some kind of meeting at Universal about synergy. And they're like, okay, well, it's great. The movie division is probably like, so like high and mighty. They're probably like, like, dude, we got like Fast and Furious and Harry Potter. Like, we got everything, dude. Jurassic World. And the TV folks are like, well, we have Jimmy Fallon. So, And then they must have there's a Today Show cafe. It's like someone somewhere had a meeting and they were like, we need to make sure that every current property is represented somehow. So it's like the NBC News and Today Show and like all these other properties like have to have some kind of presence at the amusement park. And then I guess Universal Music was like, dude, like what's happening here? I feel like we've been left in the dust in the wind. That's not us. So that must have been like Universal Music's like presence at the park. It's like, we're going to give you this ride. We're going to call it Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. Not really sure what that means, but that's what it is. And we'll be able to feature your music that way. Anyway, the two people in front of me just spaced out, were total astronauts, they held up the line. And then when they were instructed to go certain place, they didn't go there. So it held me up. So by the time I get in and strapped in, ready to pick my music, I pick the genre and then we take off. So luckily I got, what was the name of that song? It's time for the percolator. No, I don't think it was time for the percolator. I guess you never know. I guess you never know. I guess you never know. Techno song. I guess we'll never know. What is it?
Powerful allergy relief.
Thanks.
Ever wish your insurance could help prevent things from happening?
No.
I know. If I didn't, me a pound. Tell them put the money in. I really want this American boy.
No, that wasn't it. The Neuralizer? Oh, is that it? No way, dude. Oh, I guess you didn't know. I guess you didn't know. No. Jesus Christ. The Nebulizer? I don't friggin' know, dude. I guess you didn't know. Anyway, I lucked out. It's a great song. I wish I could remember it, but that was bumping. And I've never gone so vertical on a ride before. Like straight up and down going up and then straight up and down coming down. Never.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Yeah, I know, Siri. Bitch. So at this point, Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, highly recommend. Very nice. I would put it as the number 2 roller coaster in both parks. That's where my ranking would be. In terms of overall rides, I might even put it that high too. It's the top 3 to top 5 ride. Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. Just weird. Feels like, Universal Pictures had rights to like the early Marvel movies, I think, like Iron Man and Captain America. And it feels like once they lost those movie rights or whatever, once Marvel went on its own and then was acquired by Disney, they had to like strip back a lot of the Marvel type movie presence, like maybe not necessarily the characters, but the movies, like not be so reflective of the cinematic entries into the MCU. It feels like Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit was the Iron Man ride. It just feels like, they basically kept the same color scheme, but just like painted a bunch of like groupies, rock stars, and musicians everywhere. And we're like, we got to get to the show. Time is running out. At this point, it's like I got maybe an hour left, maybe a little bit over an hour. And I was like, I got to go back to the other park and I got to hit up the rides I missed. And of course, I completely whiffed on the direction that I should have gone. It's like all I had to do to go in Spider-Man and Dr. Doom's Deadfall was to just go left, and it's right there. And instead, I decided to go right, and I went all through Dr. Seuss land, which is for little kids. Although I almost stopped for a goose juice and a moose juice, spruce juice or whatever. Almost stopped. So you have to go all the way through Dr. Seuss, through Harry Potter land, through Jurassic World, through Kong. It's like a basically full circle. And then I was almost tempted to go on, what is it called? Prometheus's Fury? No. Polyamorous Fury. Definitely not it, dude. It's like Neptune is in the mix there, begins with a P. But I was like, is this a ride or is this like you just walk through and it's a museum? I don't know. Nobody got time for that. So I was able to catch and go on the Spider-Man ride, which was getting lambasted. I think a lot of people were criticizing it. It was not as bad as I thought it would be. But there's no Spider-Man movie stuff involved. It's all from the comics and from the animated TV show. And so the only note that I have that was bad, that was really bad, was the volume, dude. The sheer volume that this ride has. I'm still bleeding a little bit from the drums. From my drums. My drums are bleeding. You know? It's stuck. It's so horrible. My eardrums, they burst, they pop, they bleed. So that was unfortunate because it just like, why? I don't even think we need to hear J. Jonah Jameson screaming his tits off about Spider-Man. Like, no thanks. So, and then I was able to pick up my daughter a nice shirt, Spider-Man shirt, which I think Spider-Man's got to be up there as her like top favorite superhero. I could be wrong. So that's the kind of the Marvel superhero section. And then they have this cartoon strip land that I had to cruise through with characters I haven't thought about or have been relevant or mentioned anywhere for the past 3 decades, maybe even 4 decades. Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls, dude. Dudley Do-Right. That guy, he's still puttering around. Poseidon's Fury. Jesus. It was not showing up on the app as a ride, which the app was pretty cool. You know, it has some issues like updating a little bit. Like if you want it updated, you have to kind of like close and open a couple times. But I thought the app was cool, but it did not list Poseidon's Fury as a ride. So I was just like, all right, cool. That Spider-Man ride was a 3D video simulator ride. You do get a little wet, which I thought was cool. And there might have even been a couple flames, but there's like a water villain. News to me, dude. Didn't know there was a water villain. Like a villain made. I know there's Sandman. There's Waterman too. Sandman, I get water, but a water villain. Like, come on, what are we doing? But that got me all wet. And it was cool when Electro hopped on our car and then jammed the huge electric cable into the front of our car. It's like, oh man, this is how Elon Musk came up with Tesla. But the Spider-Man shirt I got my daughter has got basically just Spidey's face, you know, masked face on the front, but the masked face is texturized, like rubber texturized, cool rubbery texture. It's like raised braille. So, and I think she liked it a lot. I got her that and a Cat in the Hat doll with a thing like hugging thing 1 and thing 2. But I was like, so this is all sewn together. Like that's kind of like a kid will want to play around with the arms and thing 1 and thing 2, and they're just all sewn together. Like I don't know what to do here. And then I guess I could have tried to do Doctor Doom's Deadfall, but I felt like I was cutting it close. And that Hagrid's ride, Hagrid's Magical Creatures and Motorbike Adventure or whatever. 95 minutes, dude. 95 minutes. It can't be that good. There's no fast pass. Get your act together, Universal. What is going on? While I was shopping for Brie, I did notice there were a lot of Thing 1 and Thing 2 shirts. A lot of Drunk 1, Drunk 2 shirts. But I also saw these shirts that had 9 3/4 on it. And I thought it was like an obscene spoof. Like all I could think about was, fry size, if you will. And it turns out it's something from Harry Potter. I had no clue. I just thought, like this, because there are some people here wearing family friendly shirts, and there's some people wearing like spoofs of family friendly shirts that are pretty funny, but also like adult humor. So, also a lot of shirts about baldness. I've never seen so many shirts that like call out baldness. And I don't even think it was like it's not even like a Homer Simpson thing, like Simpsons branded thing. It's just like bald is sexy or something like that. And I was like, what? It's a shirt and it's in this store in Universal? Like what? I don't get it. So yeah, that was Universal Studios. Overall, if I had to do rankings, you know what? I would go on Veloci-coaster again, but I need to get in shape. I think that's the key. The key word here is like, maybe I just need to work out a little bit more and not have a cow man, because I was shook after Veloci-coaster, but I think I would do it again. So I guess you gotta put it at 1. I mean, in terms of like thrills and chills, delivered in spades, like huge, big time. So I would put Veloci-coaster 1. I would put Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, aka Iron Man's Revenge, at number 2. And then 3, I don't know if it would be Hulk Coaster. It might be Transformers The Ride. Wow. So that'd be 3. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. I feel like I liked it a lot. That's maybe a top 5. Fast and Furious Supercharged is so silly and ridiculous, and I really am very fearful for the lives of those performers. Although I think maybe they are criminals, and this is part of their sentence. You know, like, hey, you messed up, so now this is what you got to deal with. I don't know what kind of crime you could commit to get that kind of sentence from the judge, but dang, it's pretty good punishment. So I guess that's in the mix. When I put Revenge of the Mummy above it, again, I really wish I had figured out that diagonally from Harry Potter. Men in Black Alien Attack. I have issues with the zapper gun and the equipment. I know it's probably user error, but that takes it down a few pegs in my book. Like, I'm not that bad. There's no way. So overall, I'm looking forward to taking my little one there soon. You know, she's 4, so I figure 6, is that a good age? I feel like 6 would be a good age. I can't wait to take her there. That's basically the main takeaway is like, all right, I'm back in the New York groove, or should I say the Orlando groove, and I have a good sense of like how to attack this thing. You know, I got a game plan now. I've done some scouting. Here's a scouting report, and here's a strategy moving forward. But also, let's get a petition going to bring back to the Future Ride. Let's just do it. So that's this episode. Next episode, I hope to talk about my spring break Easter week in South Carolina, in the Myrtle Beach area, where I was able to take my daughter down for about a week. And my respect for my sister continues to go up exponentially after what I bore witness to over that 7-day period. She deserves a friggin' medal, dude. But we'll get into a little bit of that in the next episode. So thank you so much for listening and for watching. I feel like you can't get better insight and analysis from anyone else out there about Universal Studios rides. I mean, the level of detail, you can't find that anywhere else. All right, Neal, shut the fuck up. Adios, muchachos.